who's out there tonight? And can you hear me? All the people. Come on in. Come on. Hi, honey. You're first in the room. Hey, Betty, darling, Sandra, Carl. How you guys doing tonight? Janet. Hey guys, this is Jim with Crawfordology, where we most of the time can communicate and talk about the things you care about, and then sometimes we're just really bad at it. So if you haven't already done it, make sure you like and follow, subscribe, share, spit out, put this in. In fact, Valentine's Day is over, so you can't put this in your kids' Valentine's Day and have them take this to their teachers, but you could send it for Easter. I'm just giving some ideas, right? So gift idea, put a put a business card with our web address on it and send it out. All right. Anyway. Hey guys, I really appreciate you being here tonight with me Friday. What else could you possibly want to do on a Friday night during COVID than come to Crawfordology and talk about all the things that we as good American people care about? So I want to share with you, let's see, here it goes. Hey, there I am. Make sure you haven't, if you haven't already, make sure you stop by American One. It's the www.american1.com. Articles we keep throughout the day. We're actually going to cover some of these articles today and talk about a few things that have popped up. And anytime you're over here, there's lots to see, lots of different things to connect with, different ways to connect with us, and all the feature articles. So make sure you guys check in. It's not just about watching video, right? You got to come read the articles. There's stuff in these articles. Visit our advertisers, all that fun. Anyway. Hey, I don't know how many of you, going back, in fact, I'm going to start here on American One today. So this article had me particularly out of sorts. Particularly out of shorts. Out of shorts? I was out of shorts. I'm in long pants. It's cold. So Democrats criticize Rand Paul over questions about child sex changes. Okay, so you guys may recognize this person here. Rachel Levine is what this person calls himself. And, a transgender. And I think it would actually be helpful to see, what terrible things Rand Paul must have done. This is a 2-minute clip that we played. So just hang in here and let's watch this.
Genital mutilation has been nearly universally condemned. Genital mutilation has been condemned by the WHO, the United Nations Children's Fund, the United Nations Population Fund. According to the WHO, genital mutilation is recognized internationally as a violation of human rights. Genital mutilation is considered particularly egregious because, as the WHO notes, it is nearly always carried out on minors and is a violation of the rights of children. Most genital mutilation is not typically performed by force, but as WHO notes, that by social convention, social norm, the social pressure to conform, to do what others do and have been doing, as well as the need to be accepted socially and the fear of being rejected by the community. American culture is now normalizing the idea that minors can be given hormones to prevent their biological development of their secondary sexual characteristics. Dr. Levine, you have supported both allowing minors to be given hormone blockers to prevent them from going through puberty, as well as surgical destruction of a minor's genitalia. Like surgical mutilation, hormonal interruption of puberty can permanently alter and prevent secondary sexual characteristics. The American College of Pediatricians reports that 80 to 95% of prepubertal children with gender dysphoria will experience resolution by late adolescence if not exposed to medical intervention and social affirmation. Dr. Levine, do you believe that minors are capable of making such a life-changing decision as changing one's sex?
Okay. Now, we're going to let Dr. Levine make the answer here. But did you guys hear the really, terrible way that Rand Paul was talking to this Dr. Levine? He was so disrespectful, so rude. I mean, how in the world? He was just saying, can you believe that there are people in the world who think that it's not okay to suggest genital mutilation of children? I feel like I may be the last person on the planet who would see anything wrong with what Rand Paul just said. He asked a logical set of questions, and now let's go to the answer.
Well, Senator, thank you for your interest in this question. Transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field with robust research and standards of care that have been developed. And if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed as the Assistant Secretary of Health, I would look forward to working with you and your office and coming to your office and discussing the particulars of the standards of care for transgender medicine.
The specific question was,
which means I have to get back to you on that because I don't really have a good answer at this moment. And since I don't have a good answer, it makes me really uncomfortable that you're trying to push me through these issues to talk about these things here today, where I'm trying to actually be confirmed as a picture of mental and physical health as one of the top people inside the Secretary of Health's office. This seems crazy to me. This seems crazy to me. Now, this will probably get me thrown off of YouTube and of Facebook because I don't believe that this is the way we're supposed to live our lives. Right? So, like surgical mutilation, hormonal interruption of puberty can permanently alter and prevent secondary sexual characteristics. The American College of Pediatricians reports that 80 to 95% of prepubertal children with gender dysphoria will experience resolution by late adolescence if not exposed to medical intervention and social affirmation. So if your little girl is wearing boys' clothes and walking around when she's a child, acting like she's a man, that's okay. That's sort of some of the things that kids do. I know it's a little more disturbing if your little boy is doing that. I just know, where I grew up, that would have been a little more disturbing. We called girls tomboys. We called boys sissies if they did things like that. I understand that there's some sort of social pushback. But seriously, folks, is this what we want to represent the country? Is this the norm that we're going for? Not for me. I mean, it seems to be so antithetical to my Christian beliefs, to just plain reason that we would try to persuade the rest of the country to fall under Dr. Levine's sense of reason and right and wrong. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And how is it that we're not able to do that? Well, we can't have these conversations because even as we speak right now, there are things that I will tell you they talk about. It's CPAC. CPAC's going on right now. We're going to show a couple of clips from CPAC. Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee was out there addressing the Conservative Political Action Conference held in Orlando, Florida, today and tomorrow. And she was there talking about big tech and how big tech is aiding Beijing in its push for global dominance. There's an article on Epic Times today, on the Epic Times. Let me just read a few things from it. The big tech companies are aiding the Chinese Communist Party in achieving its goal of being a global superpower, said Senator Marsha Blackburn. Blackburn was speaking Friday afternoon about freedom of speech in the United States and abroad when she started bringing up the relationship between big tech companies in the United States and the Chinese Communist Party. China's trying to cancel the United States of America, Blackburn added. China and big tech, they have a cozy relationship. They've been allowing the Chinese Communist Party to spew all their information. Conform or they will cancel you. Sounds a lot like Communist China. Absolutely does. You know, she has a really good point here. This is what we've seen from months before the election till right up and after the election. And of course, even now, the throttling, the controlling, the managing of what you're allowed to see. You are not allowed to go online and choose the things that you once could. People who are followers of Crawfordology, when they throttle us back, only a few people get notified when we're online. It's just the way it works. So while Chinese citizens are blocked from accessing Twitter, Facebook, and other social media platforms, yeah, they started this, by the way, because that's a condition for coming into China. The government has to be able to turn that on and off. And this is why we have to keep blocking Huawei, the spy network for big tech, and the virtual one that they're trying to put together. In June last year, Twitter announced that they had removed more than 170,000 accounts tied to a Beijing-backed influence operation that deceptively spread messages favorable to the Chinese regime, including some about the CCP virus, commonly known as COVID-19, also known as Kung Flu or the Wuhan flu. Big tech is aiding and abetting the Chinese Communist Party in their push for global dominance, Blackburn said, and we are going to have to stand against it. At one point during her remarks, Blackburn started speaking out broadly against human rights abuses. By the way, you may have followed the president this week as he came back and claimed that, these genocides going on against the Uyghur people in China was simply a difference of opinion, right? A cultural difference. So China is carrying out human rights violations against the Hong Kong freedom fighters, against Tibet, against Taiwan, against the Uyghurs, enslaved in encampments where they are doing terrible things to Uyghur women, terrible things to Uyghur men. They're trying to change the tide of history, the impression that people have on China, and these Confucius institutes that they're opening up in places all over, are made to give you a very kind. I bet you have all encountered someplace some Chinese culture that has come to your town recently in the last 10, 15 years. The Chinese circus, the acrobats, the ceremony, the just pure entertainment. And the idea there is that it takes away the scary dragon from China and gives you the happy, fun time. Folks, don't be tricked by China. Don't be tricked by Biden. Don't be tricked by the people who they are trying to put into office, who they are trying to give power, administrative power, the ability to write law. And they're trying to do that simply because they want to carry out their own ideas. And these ideas are so far to the left that even 90% of the Democrat Party don't support these things. It's terrible. So I want to go to this story quickly, and there's a couple of things here that are going to be kind of fun. First, I want to start with the Mandalorian star Gina Carano. Right, you will recall that Gina simply posted some things, tweeted some things. Right, she said on her social media, she said, I feel this way, I feel that way, right? They've been trying to, she does not conform easily to the liberal Hollywood ideology. And what I would tell you is they are saying that that she said, okay, so she said on a social media post implying that being a Republican today is like being Jewish during the Holocaust. Okay, so it's terrible. In other words, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous time to be a Republican. Your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions don't matter. They're pushed aside by this rabid group who feels you are not allowed to express yourself. So what did Lucasfilm do? Well, they said, hey, she's got to go. And they believed. In fact, here's the comment from Lucasfilms. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. If you are that much of a moron that you read that post where she says being a Republican is like being Jewish during the Holocaust, you shouldn't have any responsibilities, right? You should be doing something completely different. So what they decide is that she's not going to return. You know, she's one of the stars of The Mandalorian. They decide she's not going to return, and the Daily Wire comes out and hires her, which is very cool. And now Disney, be careful. So Disney owns, you know, the Mandalorian, or at least they own the rights to the Mandalorian. I don't know who really owns the Mandalorian. I think it's Disney. And what they did, so Carano was an MMA fighter. She was in Deadpool, Fast and Furious, a lot of different films, and she's kind of come up, but she's just like a straight up person. Hey, I have an opinion. I'm allowed to talk about it just like you are. So she shares some ideas and she says, hey, you know, this is really rough right now to be a Republican. And they quickly fire her. So I want to share with you, and I'm going to show you a couple of these cartoons today, but I've got to get it just right before I do. So I want to share with you the cartoon humor from Disney. Let's see if I can pull this thing up. Can I pull it up? Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so the American Spectator, and I love this. I love their take. The American Spectator shows, you know, here's Snow White. She's eating every apple. The apple basket is called woke leftism. And even the witch says, whoa, dear, you don't have to eat them all, right? You don't have to buy wholesale into this terrible idea. But that is exactly what they're doing inside not just the folks who are in these studios, but it's the Hollywood, it's the far left, it's the crowd that wants to create something and make something out of nothing. They want to take the smallest thing that you say, blow it into something totally out of proportion, and I don't know, make us all crazy. So there was another one, and unfortunately it's not on the Spectator anymore, which shows this little girl walking into Disneyland, and it said, the home where all of your marked out approved dreams come true. So the fact is, you know, for some people, including Gina Carano, you can't have a dream of being a star and maintaining your own identity and having your own opinions. It simply will not be tolerated in Hollywood. It won't be tolerated at Disney, at Lucasfilms. If you don't fit the mold, don't show your face around here. And I guarantee you, had it not been for the Daily Wire, no one would be hiring her, right? No one in Hollywood. So I want to share with you just a few minutes of this. We're going to watch a little bit of CPAC. This is the remarks from a director-producer, Robbie Starbuck. He's a Cuban-American. We're going to pick him up part way in, but I'm just going to let you hear from him for a little bit. Here we go.
Business will be destroyed. Your access to the platforms will be destroyed. This is why we need to acknowledge as conservatives that we are in a culture war and we are losing. And if we want to win, we need to acknowledge that fact. Culture is an important question. They recently had Joe Biden on CNN, and they did something that I never thought CNN would do, but they asked him about the Uyghurs in China who are being raped, tortured, and children are being kidnapped, forced to praise China as their mother and to praise communism as their savior. They asked Joe Biden about it, and he said it amounted to a mere cultural difference. I don't think that more disgusting words have ever left the lips of an American president. And it was at that moment that if you didn't already know that he was not an American president, that was the moment where you should have known he was China's first president of America. And why is that important? That's important because our own culture is shifting. So if he can discredit that to just a mere cultural difference, what will the leader of the Democratic Party and the Democratic Party at large do when our own culture shifts to a point where, I can give you an example. Recently, a lawyer at PBS, yes, PBS, where they make children's show, a lawyer there called for Republicans' children to be put into re-education camps. So what happens if our own culture shifts to that point where that becomes acceptable? I think we all know the answer to that. And that's why we have to fight back. So I want to praise the people who are doing it right. People like the Daily Wire, who just hired Gina Carano after she was fired by Disney and LucasFilms. Ron DeSantis and Josh Hawley, who are fighting through legislation. And now to all of us, what we need to do, we need to put the pressure on our AGs, our state legislatures, our congressmen, congresswomen. We need to pressure our governors to go ahead and bring that fight the same way that Ron DeSantis and Josh Hawley have, and people like Matt Gaetz, who's following after me. Our biggest donors need to match them with funding, because we are not going to be given a seat at the table by these people in Hollywood. It is never going to happen. We have to build our own pillars of culture in academia, publishing, music, film, all around. And I'm not talking about something that's narrowly attractive. I'm talking about something that's broadly attractive to everybody, because that's how the left got here. They used subtlety to change the minds of children, reaffirmed it at college, and then the kids came home hating the values their parents had raised them with. We can't allow that to happen for another generation, so I am calling us all to action. You know, Ronald Reagan once said that we had a time for choosing, and I'm saying that we have a time for choosing again. If we want this party to survive, we need to go back to his words. Reagan once said that we face the greatest enemy in man's long climb from the swamp to the stars, and that if we lose that war, that in so doing we would lose this freedom of ours. He then said that history would record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to stop it. We need to make sure that that's not how history records us. He went on to tell a story about a Cuban refugee and two businessmen, where the two businessmen were listening to the refugee tell his story. One businessman turned to the other and said, "We don't realize how lucky we are." And the Cuban turned to them and said, "No, you don't realize how lucky I am. I had someplace to go to." And in that sentence, he told the entire story, because this is our last stand. This is freedom's last stand. If America falls, freedom falls. And so we all need to double our efforts. We all need to double our efforts and make sure that we left nothing on the table, because this is a fight worth having, this is a country worth saving, and freedom is something that should be a human right. And we are the fighters who need to ensure that the next generation has it. This country is what makes possible for my own mom to come from Cuba, going into the unknown, leaving the only home she'd ever known after it was stolen by communism, only able to bring one item with her. She brought a doll that was passed down in the family, and that doll, its head was smashed in by a soldier. And I say that because I want you to know that that's what leftism does. It steals everything from you. And so this is our last stand. I hope you join me in fighting for freedom. That's why I'm able to stand up here. That freedom in America is the reason I can be here and say that I am running for Congress in the state of Tennessee in 2022. Thank you, guys. And lastly, I just want to say that this is my last remark. Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, a wave of lions is coming in 2022. We will not allow you to get away with what you've gotten away with anymore. You fight for the establishment, we fight for the people, so get ready because you are going to have the biggest fight on your hands that you two have ever had, and that goes for everybody else in big tech. Thank you, guys.
So there he is. That's Robbie Starbuck, and what a great job he did. What an absolutely great set of points he made as a Cuban American. Not only just because he came out as a Republican was he pushed out of the establishment, and that's on kind of the front end of the talk. By the way, all of CPAC is showing up on Facebook or on YouTube, so you can get to that. Tomorrow, I'm hoping that we can get some of Donald Trump's comments on. He's speaking tomorrow, so it'll be an interesting time to hear his point of view. But as I was saying there about Robbie Starbuck, he was actually pushed out of Hollywood, lost 85% of his business because he came out as a Republican. And then after that, I guess he figured he would just go for broke and supported Trump in the 2016 election, which even caused more disruption. You heard it here first at CPAC that he is running for Congress in Tennessee. So we'll have to see how that goes for him. I think more of you, if some of you are feeling that pull, that maybe you should take it up. Maybe you should take this time and go for it. Why not? Remember, this was so we talked about Rush Limbaugh's death last week. This was actually one of Rush's last outputs, was to say, why not? Why not you? Why not you? These people who have been controlling your life, controlling the government, pushing this leftist agenda, allowing these people who are so counter to not just Christianity, conservatism, to good ideas that protect the family, protect the American fabric, and are certainly influenced by China and outsiders. We've got to find ways to fight back against that, and that may take people like you stepping up and saying, hey, I'm ready to get out here and get after it. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to run for school board. Don't be afraid to run for something, and just be honest, right? Just be honest with the people and explain to them what you feel, what you think, and let people decide. There are more people who are like us than are like these far lefties who are selling every bad idea you've ever heard. So, last thing tonight I want to talk about is Mario Cuomo, and I am very curious. So back to the American Spectator. How many of you would have imagined that Mario Cuomo would find himself in the kayak with the political tide changing and about to take him over? There are lots of people speculating right now that he will not make it. That he will not make it. And I'm curious, to our audience. So let me go to the comments. How many of you guys think that old Mario is going to make it? Does Mario have a hope to hang in there? Is there anybody who can imagine, Mario? Remember, so if you don't know what's happened with Mario has done a number of things that in his state caused the death of an inordinate amount of people in nursing homes and rest homes. And unfortunately, they lied and they hid. So one of his people were being questioned in Congress and said, we kind of fudged those numbers. So I'm curious. Let me go to the comments. I just want to get something in here before we cut away. So yes, Loretta, I'm sorry. I think I said Trump is speaking Saturday. He's speaking Sunday. I think it's a 2-day event, but I do believe that Trump, and you can actually go online to be sure. I have not done that. Go online and have a look. There's a whole lot happening there. There is a whole lot happening. Let's see. hell is Mario's home. So yeah, you know, he definitely did some things. There are a number of families that are very upset with the deaths, unable, if you remember back, and even still in some states, COVID, you're not allowed to go to a nursing home. You're not allowed to check on anyone. You're not allowed to go in and visit even a dying parent. So parents were dying alone and without the benefit of the comfort of their family. So this causes both the living and the dying to have an extremely difficult time and passage. Sandy Harrison, yes, I thought Trump was speaking on Sunday. So I think you guys are right. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. Let's go back up. Bonnie Brown says, our country's in serious trouble. Our children and grandchildren are at stake. Don't mess with our kids. Yeah, but we've got to be the ones who push back. We've got to have time and make time. Joy O'Brien says, you don't have to be a Christian to know that is wrong. That's right, Joy, 100%. I speak from Judeo-Christian values, but and most of America has operated on Judeo-Christian values. It doesn't mean that you have to be a Christian, but we all recognize Christian values because that's what we were taught. Dale Reichert says, a whole lot of mental illness going around these days. Yeah, I tell you, I cannot get over this Dr. Levine, that anyone would even have the nerve to present them. It just tells me more things about our current president and Kamala Mala Ding Dong, you know, that's what we have. Terry Hubler says, God created you and no one else did. Agreed. Ryan, I'm not going to say that comment. Yeah, so Cheryl, you say many times you're not notified anymore. That's because that's the way they are doing it. So that's called throttling, right? So they will throttle me back so that very few people get that we're online. Whereas before they would kind of open that aperture up and we would see lots of folks. So you guys hang in there. We are going to start broadcasting from American One on Facebook as well. If you haven't come over to American One, please make sure you do. There are many things going on there. Keep watching, be patient. We're slow, but we haven't forgotten you.